Good evening, everybody. So we are ready to start, and today we have quite a special event. Today is the 13th meetup. That means that we started Vilnius School of AI meetups almost exactly 1 year ago. So my name is Dovydas, and welcome to Vilnius School of AI. I almost wanted to say welcome to Vilnius School of Meetups, but we are all about AI. Don't be confused. So it's like very interesting time to start a new season, because everyone is starting on September, and we are in the middle, like in the probably best summer days, what's left of the summer. So I'm really happy to see so many of you here. Like not as many as per usual, but still quite a few people. And let's have some special celebration with this very nice anniversary edition logo, or text on top of each slides today. So anniversary edition, let's start. First of all, as always, I want to thank our sponsors, Tech Consult, Sapiegos Tech Park, Code Academy, and Vinted. All of these companies are contributing to the success of Vilnius School of AI. Really thankful to the people behind the companies and to the companies. Let's talk about the roadmap for today. First of all, we'll talk about what we accomplished, but this time we'll talk about what we accomplished not in the last month, but in the last year. Because this is our special anniversary edition, we can talk about the whole year. Then we'll talk about the roadmap for the next year, and finally we do the presentation followed by networking. So what we accomplished. I believe I'm a strong believer in celebrating the successes, even small successes. What we do, it's quite a good habit to always celebrate it. Spoiler alert, I'll talk a little bit about it during the presentation about the mistakes which I made learning AI. So one of them was not celebrating the success, so I'm doing it right now, listing the things which we as a community achieved during the last year. So first of all, we organized and you participated in 12 meetups. That's like a great turnout. Usually meetups don't last that long, and I'm really happy to see a few people who I remember from who attends a lot of meetups. So it's nice that it has some staying power as well as reaching new people who have never been here. What I learned about the meetups is that the discussions at the end are the best part. So now, previously, I kind of had this ad hoc discussions. Now I make it part of the plan, because believe me, if you never participated in the discussion, not all, I can't promise that all of them are very good, but usually it's the best part for me. I learn a lot. I get amazing questions from people who are just starting to learn, and at the same time I can share some more maybe in-depth analysis, more in-depth thoughts about the things which I talked about in the presentation. So stay for the discussions at the end. What we also did is a lot of the community participated in Dirbtinis intelektas ir Lietuvos ateitis event. I was invited to deliver a workshop at the end for the government employees. So that was a really fun experience. And this actually led, so first of all, it was so nice to see a lot of people, I kind of went to the event alone, and then I met 5 or 6 people from Vilnius School of AI who were in the same event, and could meet them there. So delivering the presentation actually led to presentation in Užsienio reikalų ministerija, which in turn led to presentation in Seimas, and one vice minister said that I'm actually like he was so proud that Lithuania is talking about AI and like having presentations about AI delivered in their parliament. So that's a big deal, and I feel that's a big achievement for the whole community as Vilnius School of AI. I talked about the AI basics and like global country level strategy, what countries at this point in time should be, how they could help, the starting AI ecosystem. Then presentation in the login conference followed. It was very nice. Talked about AI philosophy. Even got this photo. But like these presentations are not that important. The most important thing is that we have like what the students of Vilnius School of AI have achieved. So we actually had 11 graduated workshop squads. So for those who are new here, we divide our workshops into squads, and we had 11 graduations. So I'm so proud of these people. I think some of them graduated in like several classes already, because like some people started in the beginning, like in last December, and continued their studies throughout like almost like 9 months or something. So that's very, very cool. On the other hand, the workshops themselves improved a lot. We have new material, we have new methods of like teaching and learning together. We have like tried this continuous improvement thing where every week we try to think how to make the whole process better. So the workshops which we started like 9 months ago cannot really hold a candle to what the workshops are right now. They're like much cleaner, much faster, and like in my opinion delivers even more value for the students who are learning. And of course the most important thing is the stories from people who have got jobs, who have got internships. Some of them have started their own startups, or like basically thinking about starting a startup, working with their friends on some projects. So I'm really happy for these people and really proud of them. Then I'm also really happy and proud of the first that we started the first deep learning bootcamp in Vilnius. So also proud of these people. Bootcamp, like, well, what's, if you're new here, you might not know the difference between the bootcamp and workshops. So workshops are like more on self-learning side and less intense, and bootcamp is the like premium version, very intense, very fast, and going a lot in depth with much more guidance from me. So the bootcamp is, in like, as far as I know, the first thing which is happening in Vilnius, and like I mean in this scale. There are bootcamps who last for a day or 2 days. Our bootcamp lasts for 9 months. So it's like totally different scale and totally different level of mastery which you will reach at the end of the bootcamp. So now let's talk about the roadmap for the next year. I thought a lot about what do I want from this like next season of Vilnius School of AI. So first of all, I want 12 more meetups. I think that meetups are amazing. They allow us to like reach and get in sync with the larger AI community, and at the same time, they're like the perfect place to talk to people and reach people who are interested in learning AI, but are not doing that right now because like there are like millions of reasons. Like looks too hard, don't know what to do. I heard about these workshops and bootcamp, I don't know what they are. And meetups are the place where all of these questions can be answered. And in addition to that, we have this like fun presentation about some specific topic every month. So I think it's amazing. I want 12 more of those. Then I also want to be participating in conferences, and I mean I'm not talking like about myself, but about Vilnius School of AI people in general. I want to see more speakers. I want to see more attendees. I don't ever want to go to a conference about machine learning, AI, or deep learning, and not see a person from Vilnius School of AI. So that's my goal. Like, let's get the conferences going. And to be concrete, I'm myself going actually quite soon, in a few weeks, to the O'Reilly AI conference in Silicon Valley. Should be quite like a long trip, but I hope it's going to be worth it. Silicon Valley is the place where like the whole AI and deep learning thing is like currently at its peak. That's the bleeding edge of all the research. So I want to see what the companies there, what they're like, what the people in Silicon Valley who are attending the conference, what they can teach us Europeans. So, and at the same time, I believe we can learn a lot from this ecosystem which is built there. In addition to that, I am participating in the Big Data Conference Europe, quite a fun conference happening here in Vilnius. So if you have like learning budget in your company, or just want to like start your participation in conferences, attending conferences, this is the perfect place to start. You will get like a taste of what international conference looks like, but here in Vilnius locally. So we should be like very happy to have this conference right here. Happening right here in Vilnius. Yeah, so I will actually be delivering a workshop there, and I will be delivering also a presentation. So you will be seeing me on stage once again. The most, like, I consider this thing the most important, the workshops. I feel that the workshops has this amazing, they reach a lot of people and they deliver a lot of value. So that's a very nice combination of these two things. So I really want to focus on the workshops next year. Most importantly, I want to be able to have more people participating. And like basically how am I going to achieve that is, first of all, I'm changing, like I already actually changed the structure. Now we have 7 classes. We used to have 4 classes, now we have 7. So that means you will be joining the class which suits you even much more. That means you don't have to, like, if you have some Python experience, you don't have to relearn, like, or like stay in the class which is just learning Python. You can join exactly at the right moment. There your knowledge ends. At the same time, we will have like many more batches this way, as more and more people can join, the train at different stages of classes. So let's say a class starts at level like F class, and then you will join the workshops at D class, and this way we can have like many more people actually participating in the workshops. In addition to that, I finally want to make the remote workshops a thing. I have played with this idea and secretly tested it during the last year, but workshops, like remote workshops, never got my attention. So this year I really want to change that. I really want to make the workshops like first class citizen, remote workshops, first class citizens in what Vilnius School of AI workshops look like. And finally, the bootcamp, and more importantly, the bootcamp graduation. So far we have started the bootcamp with 11 people. We still have 11 people after like almost pretty close to half of the course is done. So about 4 months is we learn for 4 months. We still have everyone. It would be amazing if we can graduate with 11 people. I would be like, I wouldn't believe that, but so far the retention is very, very high, and so far I'm so happy with what these people have learned. I kind of some of them are achieving like the level in like after half of the course, which I think is really close to sufficient to actually getting a job in like as a deep learning specialist. So I just can't imagine what these people will be able to achieve after the full course is done. So that's the plan for the next year. I hope you are as excited as I am. And let's go straight to the 8 mistakes I made learning AI. So Vilnius School of AI is, all about learning AI. That's the whole thing. That's why it's called school. We are trying to be, social, participate and stuff, but in the end, it's all about learning. And I'm not sure if any of you participated in our very first presentation, like last year. Was there anyone? Oh, I know at least one person who was there. Yeah. So last year, almost like exactly a year ago, we delivered a presentation with exactly the same topic, 8 mistakes I made learning AI. That was the very first presentation. And I think it's a perfect topic to start a new season about learning, because learning AI is like really tricky. It's the most tricky thing which I have learned, and I have made so many mistakes. So I want to share my mistakes and also my learnings. But let's put things into perspective. Can I get like a raise of hands who have not started their path to learning artificial intelligence or machine learning? Who just are looking to start? All right. Anyone who have already started? And perfect. Anyone who are professionals? I mean, data scientists, data analytics, machine learning engineers, data engineers, AI engineers, people like that. Perfect. A lot of hands. One hand, right? Yeah. So that's good. This presentation is exactly for you, for people who are about to start, and for people who have started but haven't, are not close to yet finishing their studies. So I'll tell a little bit about myself, how I started. When I got interested in AI, I was like a technical team lead in one of the startups here in Vilnius. I was a front ender, and I was like pretty happy with my then current position. The front end world was rapidly improving, and we had like so many new things to learn. And in the end, it was exciting. The work is rewarding, and it's fun to do. So then, unfortunately, I read a book called Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom, and this book kind of planted the seed in my brain that look, AI is going to be the dominant thing in the next 10 years. In maybe 100 years, it might like literally run how humans live their lives, if they are living their lives, if we don't get this unfriendly AI solution when the super intelligent AI kills all humans. So that's, Nick Bostrom talks a lot about it, but then I realized that since I'm doing engineering, it's much more fun to do, something really try to achieve something smart and new and useful, instead of making, buttons look nice and everything like work fast and correctly on your website. So this was a thing, like this breaking point for me. I started learning, at first slowly started learning Python, then got enrolled into more and more courses, and finally quit my job to pursue this deep learning and AI thing full time. after like some time, I like my current position, I am again a team lead at a different startup here in Vilnius. Also, I am a machine learning engineer. So like 2 positions in my team. And like this whole like full circle like made me learn a lot about like learning AI and the difference between learning AI and learning different other subjects. On the other hand, I tried to make these mistakes which I made and my learnings as universal as possible. So even if you are not strictly learning AI to the level which like I wanted to learn, they should still be applicable to you. You can apply that to more or less if you are going to like, if you want to be a data scientist or you want to be a machine learning engineer or you want to be like a data engineer, these things should, like with some modifications, still apply to you. All right, so let's start. And my first mistake was not having a plan. The funny thing is I thought I had a plan. I was doing at that point Udemy courses. I was also doing Coursera. By the way, who here has done at least one Udemy course? Right? What about Coursera? Who uses Coursera? A lot of you again. So that was basically my situation. Like at that point in time, I was doing Udemy, I was doing Coursera. In addition, I was doing the Udacity AI Nano degree. Maybe some of you here who has done that. This one is like more expensive, but in the end, I thought, I'm doing this like seriously. No cost is too much. I'll like get the best resources. But that was actually not nearly enough. You should be, like what I learned is that you should be treating learning AI as a project. And each project should have deadlines, budget, and list of expectations. It's not enough, to make a list of, I'm going to read these 5 books and I'm going to do these 5 courses and call it a day. That's not it's not sustainable. You won't actually end up anywhere following this plan. So you should be having a clear goal. What do you expect to happen? When do you know that you learned enough? And what you're learning will in the end achieve. If you learn just for learning, you won't have that as big a drive to actually continue. If you have a goal of I want to start my own startup. I want to be informed to a point where I could be coding, but I maybe not necessarily choose to do that. Or you want to get a job as a machine learning engineer or AI engineer. These are all perfect examples of what your end result might look like. So who here has a concrete plan with deadlines for what you want to achieve? Right, students of Vilnius School of AI. Who else? Yeah, so first mistake, learn from it and create a plan, create a deadline, and list your expectations. My second mistake was not knowing what to learn. When I started, yet again, it's tricky thing again. I thought I was learning AI. Unfortunately, I didn't know what AI was because AI, the word AI, is extremely tricky. Underneath it, you can find a lot of stuff. You can find, for example, machine learning. Or you can find good old-fashioned AI, like planning and search and algorithms. You can also find statistics. You can find reinforcement learning, AlphaStar, AlphaGo, OpenAI 5, all these even poker playing agents. These are all examples of reinforcement learning. That's different branch of AI. Then we have supervised learning, so classifying images or segmenting images, detecting is where the humans are in the image. all of these stuff are very, very different from each other. And if you plan to like learn one of them, you should kind of have this in your plan and focus on this specific area. You cannot, like, realistically, it's impossible to learn everything. And I would much rather at that point in time knew that I want to learn like machine learning and computer vision, and most like specifically supervised machine learning with computer vision, because I spend a lot of time doing like things like chatbots, learning statistical concepts which I haven't used, learning a lot about searching and logic and probabilities. None of these things actually apply in my day-to-day job right now. And you know, at that point in time it was fun to learn, but now I don't remember anything. And you can't, like, I call it a waste, because I spent some time learning it, I don't use it, I forgot all about it, and instead I wish I was learning more about the thing which I actually use right now. So my advice to you is, like, be super strict and super specific about the thing that you want to learn. A very good example of that is Andrei Karpathy. He is the director of AI in Tesla, and like basically working a lot, or the main person working on the self-driving car capabilities in Tesla. He was the person who was known to be the best at ImageNet. ImageNet is just that one type of data set which, you know, companies and people try to like make models which beat the state of the art, and you know, that's used as a benchmark. So he chose this like very small, not even computer supervised deep learning computer vision. That's quite a narrow area. He went even narrower and chose like, okay, I'm going to be like the best in this data set. And that paid off like immensely. He's now like director of AI. So like delivering presentations like next to Elon Musk and stuff. So I think that was my mistake, not being super specific, not knowing exactly what I want to learn. So learn from that. The third thing is I was not doing my own research. Turns out that still it was very, very true last year. It's still true. A lot of the material, a lot of teaching material which you find on the internet, is quite bad. And the thing is that not the instructors are qualified. They are pretty good. The thing is that it's just the first iteration. They are teaching it for the first time, like Andrew and G. His course is like very good, but I feel there are so many missing parts in this course, good opportunities to improve on what's currently available. But to do that, you have to do your own research. You cannot trust one good source, like even if you paid for it like $1,000, it's like Udacity, it doesn't guarantee that we have everything that you need. You have to take parts of a lot of courses and construct your own curriculum, or like have it constructed. Have that constructed together with like Vilnius School of AI and like similar like organizations. So my advice would be, do your own research, check what's currently really the best, check what suits what do you exactly want to learn, and what suits this what you want to learn topic, and then construct your own learning path towards this goal. My fourth thing was not doing what's important, and like let me show an example. So which one of these, I want to learn AI, which one of these are right? Any ideas? We have Python. What other ideas?
All of them.
All of them. Very good. So who thinks that Octave is like Andrew? The best course of Andrew and G, I think Introduction to Machine, or no, just Machine Learning course on Coursera. I think that the best rated course ever is taught in Octave. So who thinks that Octave is actually the answer? You're not that easily tricked. I'm selling it so hard, so you know that's a trap. All right, what about R? R is like the main statistical programming language. Who thinks that R is the right answer? Right, no hands. What about Scala? Scala is the thing behind Spark. Spark is like the tool which not every single one, but most of the companies use Scala in their day-to-day data analytics and data science jobs. So really Scala is a good contender. So who thinks that Scala? All right, what about Java? That's, gold standard in engineering. What about Python? All right, Python is clear winner. And you're right, Python is the right answer. But you see, it's not, when you start looking at it, when you start digging, you'll find tutorials about why you should be doing deep learning in R. There's even a book, Deep Learning in R. There is deep learning with Scala, deep learning with Java. Some really good books on deep learning in Java. But the main community, really the core of the development is actually happening in Python. Now a little bit harder. So which one of these is correct? I'll go one by one again. What about CMTK? Microsoft. Microsoft is a big player in AI. This is their framework. All right, what about PyTorch? Just a few hands. So no PyTorch, that's Facebook's main thing. What about TensorFlow? All right, more hands. What about Keras? Say a bit fewer than TensorFlow. And Chainer? No hands for Chainer. It was a tricky question because there is no such thing, there is such a thing as TensorFlow and Keras, but you really cannot be learning one or the other because right now they are pretty much one entity. And PyTorch is also a correct answer because it's insane progress made in the last year. Actually, last year, PyTorch was not the correct answer. This year, it is a correct answer. So PyTorch made insanely good progress in a year. They released their version 1.0 and they almost caught up with TensorFlow in the number of publications. I mean, number of publications that use one or the other framework. At the same time, TensorFlow is actually, a few days ago, released TensorFlow 2.0 release candidate. It's not the official version 2.0, but it's getting really, really, really close. And you can actually use the 2.0 release candidate right now. I've been using the beta version for maybe 4 months now, and it's pretty much fine as is. So at the same time, the 2.0 version absorbed Keras, and now Keras and TensorFlow basically means that you are using the Keras API to work with TensorFlow. What used to be TensorFlow previously is not even a thing anymore. This low-level API pretty much disappeared and got superseded. The recommended way to do this is pretty much use the new Keras API instead of writing your own layers and stuff. So also not that easy to get, not that easy to get the right answer. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that it's not super easy to decide what exactly you should be learning. The next mistake which I made is not finishing. This one is again quite, as you see, these mistakes, they look easy on the surface. Obviously I should finish everything. What I did is I, for example, completed the Andrew and G deep learning specialization, and I thought, right, achievement unlocked. I finally completed this thing, got certification, pretty much aced all of their like programming assignments. I was so proud of myself. And then I kind of thought, all right, let's put my knowledge into practice. Let's try to create some like computer vision image classification model. And you know what happened? I actually couldn't do that. Even though in theory, it's like the most basic thing. Computer vision, image classification. Look, I knew so much more theory than that, but in practice, I couldn't do this thing, like couldn't do even this basic thing, because what I actually lacked is actual practice. I didn't have experience in writing these neural networks myself, because what was happening during these courses, during the Coursera course or Udemy course or Udacity course, they provide a lot of code for you, and you basically just run this code, or you fill like out of 50 lines, you have to write 5 more. And these helpers, which it looks nice, you know, you can make amazingly like complex neural networks and like do amazing stuff, but actually it's not you doing that. You get all the code pre-written and you basically write a few lines on your own. But if you do that, it's not, you know, it's not sticking as well to your brain. So what I wish I was doing is, after I finish each assignment, I go back, I delete all the code and try to rewrite all the code by myself. And you know, that's actually finishing. That's actually learning the thing in depth. It's not enough to skim the surface and think that you're so great machine learning or deep learning engineer, because then you go to like real world company, and then you'd like apply for a job. They will ask you to do like a homework, or they will ask you a bunch of questions during the on-site interview. And you know what? If you haven't really mastered the finishing part as actually doing the thing which you think you can be doing, but doing it like all on your own, you won't be able to pass these tests. So this was my learning. I haven't, you know, done that. I finished the Coursera course like way before I thought about my mistakes. But after that time, I spent a lot of time actually making, like rewriting everything from scratch, just to remember how to actually do it, just to think, do I know of a better way now to do this thing? So my lessons learned that online courses are great, but be wary of their help, and always remember that you should actually be able to write everything on your own. Sixth mistake is not celebrating my success. This one is quite easy. So basically I was neglecting the achievement part. And you know what's bad about it is that it kind of became this whole gray line. Every day I was still like, you know, getting up, start learning some stuff, and you know, one course ends, another course begins, and in the end there is no actual feeling of achievement. I never stopped and, okay, so I made this thing, now, you know, I can celebrate a little bit, like maybe tell people about it, maybe, you know, ask for opinion from the outside community. I was basically making everything for myself, not telling anybody about it, and in the end it kind of, I think, cost me a lot of lessons which I haven't learned, just because I didn't get any output and any input from the outside. And at the same time, it was kind of always great, never shiny days where I actually, you know, promoted my work. So I think it's important to celebrate your success. Twitter is particularly nice in this aspect. There's this hashtag 100 days of ML code. So like quite popular, and like following it myself. So that's one way to celebrate your success. Next mistake is not focusing on one thing at a time. So this, I talked briefly about it. Then I didn't know what to learn. I couldn't really focus on one thing, because like I thought, okay, computer vision. So I learned in computer vision about, image classification, style transfer, GANs, also reinforcement learning, how that can be used for computer vision. Then I thought, okay, so computer vision really cool. What about natural language processing? I learned, things how to make it. It's important. It's like fun to try. Then I kind of diverged to natural language processing. But what ended up happening is I kept forgetting the things which I learned because I didn't really went in depth. So that's related to the previous thing, that I was not getting too much in depth in these areas. I was just doing basic projects, and if you're doing that, there is always a risk that you're not actually getting to the level where you are very capable, let's say in computer vision. If you jump too early to like natural language processing, you're losing some capability in computer vision. So it's important to focus on one thing. Make, like my rule of thumb, make at least 3 projects in the thing, in this like subfield, before you can consider yourself that, okay, I'm done with it. I want to try natural language processing now. Next mistake was not pushing myself. And yet again, I thought I was pushing myself. But in the end, what ended up happening, I was spending a lot of time, but that time was not focused. So what I learned is it's much better to focus and dedicate like 2 hours per day, or like even 1 hour per day, versus spending the whole day learning this thing, but learning, at the same time listening to music and like eating something, or drinking and watching YouTube during the breaks. So it's much more about having focused learning. Mistake number 9, I was not diving deep enough. So I already talked a little bit about focusing. This one is a little bit different, that actually when you go to the depths of the thing, you realize that there is no, like, you read the books, you watch the like Coursera course, and it seems like, okay, everything's solved. But when you go deeper, then you actually try to apply that to, like, let's say some data set, actual real world data set, you will learn a lot of new things that not all, like in theory, it works great. In practice, you have to do like these 5 things before you get it even to work. And this going in depth is, I think, one of the keystone things that actually allowed me to like achieve this. I consider that to be like a breakthrough from the point in time where I couldn't, like, I knew things like in theoretical level, but nothing was really grounded. And when I made like this decision to go in depth, it all changed. Kind of everything got this foundation, and all the new pieces of knowledge really started to fit into place. Like I started to have this intuitive understanding of what this new concept is, how it works, why it works, and at what circumstances it won't work anymore. And it really helped to speed the learning process, and the whole thing of understanding new stuff. So this helped me immensely. Mistake number 10 is not having a mentor. So that this mistake, I kind of still am doing that. Haven't found a mentor in a year. I hope that this year I will find somebody much better than who is much better than I am at machine learning. And this mistake is like really nasty, because if you have a mentor, they can tell you immediately if you make some mistake. So I guess people who are in Vilnius School of AI know that sometimes, it takes me 10 seconds to point out your mistake. Whereas if you try to find it on your own, it takes you like 5 hours, or you even end up making the wrong decision. Oh, I solved it in a different way, which is, not the actual way to solve it. And your neural network is, let's say, forever handicapped because of that. So finding a new mentor can be invaluable. It will speed up your learning process. Try to do that. That's a great idea. Finally, the last mistake, which I'm going to share, is not having a tribe. Like tribes and people who are learning on Coursera or Udemy or Udacity, same topic as you are learning, this one doesn't count because they are like too far away from you. They are not necessarily learning the same topic as you are at that point in time. It's much better to have a small tribe who is doing exactly, like a few people who are doing exactly the same thing which you are doing right now, like let's say computer vision exercise 5, that you all have exactly the same concept. So this was the inspiration. This tribe was inspiration for this whole Vilnius School of AI community, and especially the workshops, that let's learn these things together. Let's have the same shared context, and let's try to avoid all of these mistakes which I just mentioned together, because it's much easier to do this thing not alone, but with a group of friends who are like trying to do the same thing which you are trying to do. So that was my most important lesson learned. I have a tribe, and now we come to the Q&A sessions. So do you have any questions about my mistakes? It always takes some time for people to get brave, but I believe in you.
Maybe not
Yes.
a mistake, but what was the first project you completed?
Very good question. I don't actually even remember right now. Yeah, you know what was the first actual big project which I did? It was computer generated text, as in, the style, I'll generate text in the style of some author. So I chose Marcus Aurelius' book Meditations. I trained my neural network to be able to have this language model of this book, and then generated sequences in the same style as Marcus Aurelius. Good question.
So one of your mistakes you said was not choosing the smaller niche to go deeper. So how to decide what topic to take go deeper in computer vision, like natural language processing, etc. So at what level do you think it's good?
All right. Very interesting question. There's no right answer here. I would say think about yourself. Do you like what do you like? So this is like choosing reinforcement learning versus, let's say, generation. If you really want to be on the cutting edge and you'd like to read scientific papers all day long and do research in the university, or I don't think that Lithuanian companies do a lot of research in these areas. So if you want to work more in the scientific environment and you enjoy this high science, then choose the topic which don't have that much engineering applications. So a good example is reinforcement learning, because most of the successes, they're in quite still limited setting. On the other hand, if you're very practical, if you're very hands-on engineering type of person, so then choose natural language processing and computer vision. I think both are great. Very hard to choose between these two. Both are very valuable, great. Think about maybe in what kind of with what kind of problems you will be dealing. So computer vision is more about detection, segmentation, localization, dealing with cameras and stuff. And natural language processing is understanding something from text, comments. Is it negative sentiment, positive sentiment? What was the main idea of this message? Is this user a spammer or not a spammer? And things like that.
Maybe you can recommend where to find some good information about the object detection. Some free places.
All right, so obviously GitHub and Medium. These like GitHub and Medium, I think, are right now the two best resources to find if you're like skilled enough and you have all the necessary, foundations in place, then these are the good sources. Of course, if you have to build the foundations first, so before you do object detection, you have to learn, image classification, and then depends on do you want like what kind of object detection do you want to do? Do you want to do segmentation? Like these advanced concepts, they are just a trick on top of a classical image, not image recognition, but on classical like segmentation type of thing. So like not classification, not segmentation. So my advice would be if you are able to find some advanced computer vision book which deals with how deep learning does that. I think there's a book on Pact Publishing on this topic, but the like much more information but lower quality, I guess, you'll find on GitHub and Medium. Right?
Maybe you can give some insight on how you pick the mentor, because it's a pretty thing. Like for example, I like somebody, I want to pick my mentor, but sometimes they are so busy, they don't have time. So how to pick a right mentor?
That is an excellent question. Unfortunately, I cannot give you an answer because I haven't found my mentor yet. My idea how to do that would be I would maybe send a LinkedIn message saying, look, I'll do all the work. Can you just spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes per day helping me out and checking on me? Am I going in the right direction? So that would be my take on that. If you find, by the way, if you find your mentor, let me know what was your steps to success.
You mentioned that government institutions are excited about the theme of AI being spoken and discussed in Lithuania. But what about actual businesses and what about actual applications of AI in everyday life, in ordinary businesses, in retail, in manufacturing, in different areas where this AI could actually produce some business benefit and create the value that everybody is seeking?
All right, very good question. So we actually have students who are working in like these types of not software. If you divide the companies into software companies versus non-software companies, we have people working in non-software companies who are trying, like we can get images, can we detect something in these images, like fault, detect like some thing in that which shouldn't be there or it's not present there, it should be there. But when I was speaking in Seimas, I kind of like my main message is that in Lithuania we have like all in all less than 1,000 like people capable of doing that. So all of these projects, everybody has idea, oh, let's use AI for, I don't know, detecting how many chairs are empty in presentations or how many cars are driving on the road any day. So these all ideas are actually, yes, they are solvable with like computer vision or AI or stuff, but in the end there are just not enough people who would be able to do that, especially people with experience, because it's okay, I think, at this point to hire somebody with like no experience who have just finished training, because there is just not enough people to do these what I would say not essential projects versus like other companies who for whom this AI thing can be a game changer. For example, companies which rely on this, like self-driving cars. You cannot build a self-driving car any other way than having super good computer vision and a lot of like support systems. So that's, if you want to hire as many AI engineers as possible, and that means that for companies who kind of can do it in a different way, and this AI will bring like 10% or like 20% improvement, they just don't want to spend that kind of money on the AI engineers. So that's my take on that. In the current Lithuanian context, I really would like to see many more applications in the companies about which you are talking, like the actual non-software companies who are doing some, I don't know, any type of project. I want to see many more applications of AI in these companies, but I think that it's just we are having the resource constraint, and the resource is knowledge and people capable of doing these systems. Yes?
I kind of want to follow on this question. What kind of real life problem you have solved with your knowledge and with the AI so far?
All right, good question. So in like, I guess a bit limited way, in my current company, I have solved, we as a team, obviously, we have solved, we actually implemented this clothes category detection thing, so that we shortened the upload form times. Because when you upload your photo, you don't have to go through this like 5-level tree selecting that, oh, so this is like men's clothes, it's pants, it's like jeans, and this is this type of jeans. So we use a computer vision model to detect that. In addition, we have used like a different model to detect tags. That means like people haven't, in our platform, we don't enter clothing patterns, so we can use machine like computer vision to detect these clothing patterns. We also made duplicate detection. That means when people upload the same photo, we want to know, so that's kind of cheating. You cannot make the same, like a new listing with the same photo, so you want to know about it and not download, but I won't tell you what we are doing with that, but we are detecting it nevertheless. And currently we are building this recommender system, which will be like affecting the whole platform, as in we will be understanding the users much more and then kind of recommending the thing which you are most likely to buy and which like actually this most interesting for you. So the applications, actually there are so many things which we would like to do, but just not enough human capabilities to build everything. Yes?
Close one, do you know probably if some Lithuanian businesses actually probably buying AI products outside Lithuania? Just an example, I was walking in that renewed Maxima in Acropolis, and if you notice, there are cameras every 5 or 3 meters or so. So I was trying to calculate how many human guns they need to look at this, and I suspect they have kind of probably AI looking at suspicious activity, and probably after that triggering the human guard. So probably they buy them outside, such information.
So I actually, so the question was, if we don't have enough specialists in Lithuania, maybe let's buy them, let's buy the services from companies, which sells the service. And you are actually spot on. Like in my company, we have talked with, I think, tens at this point, like 20, about 20-ish companies which sell some kind of computer vision, natural language processing, recommender type of service. Usually the main problems with this approach is that they are actually either doing this one thing and it either suits you or it doesn't suit you. The second thing is, even if it suits you, the integration might be super painful. That means you have to spend a lot of engineering time, like changing your infrastructure to work with theirs. Even if that works, you can get, issues with latency. That means you have to send your data somewhere else, and they might be doing like batches, and you cannot like do real-time stuff, and you want to do it real-time. So that might be an issue. Even if that's not an issue, then the GDPR is an issue, because you cannot really give your data to other companies, and things like images in computer vision or text and natural language processing, they're very sensitive. So the legal side of things is quite bad. And if all of that works, they're usually very expensive. So it's like you can hire, like in this salary range, it looks like you can hire a new person every week instead of paying the company for the service. So the whole like aspect ratio of problems. By the way, I'm not saying don't use that. We are actually using outside contractors for AI, like actually machine learning type of thing. But there are problems why it's not clear and cut way. Just solve this problem by buying it from somewhere else. Very good question, by the way.
So to continue, it seems so that artificial intelligence is not so intelligent in integrating with existing systems that businesses are using. Because
absolutely. Not in this aspect, not intelligent at all. And that's the problem with the name artificial intelligence, because it's I like how Andrew Karpathy called that. It's called, like, he calls that software 2.0. It's like we used to make software by writing code. Now we kind of teach the computers to do something, but it's not easier, it's not faster, it's not like better. It's just we can solve different set of problems now. We couldn't solve, for example, detecting dog breed. If you want to make a dog breed detector, that's pretty much unsolvable problem without deep learning. Only with deep learning we can solve these types of problems. And some of them, like dog breeds, it's pretty much trivial. You can get like 99% accuracy. Of course, it depends on your what kind of dogs you're using. But some problems, some computer vision problems, which were pretty much impossible 5 years ago, today it's like it takes you 5 minutes to solve it, and you get insanely good accuracy. But it doesn't mean that it's easy to integrate. It's actually much harder to integrate. It's much harder, like we have a long history of having this support tooling for regular software. So for this, I don't like the name actually software 2.0, because that's kind of indicating that this is like new and better. I won't say that deep learning is like better than regular software, but it's different enough that most of the regular tooling has to be either modified a lot to work, or it's just plain doesn't work, or if it works, it doesn't track the thing which you want to track. For example, let's say we made this category detection, but we have to also make some kind of monitoring system which monitors the performance of our model, but not performance as in speed, how long the model takes to respond, but is the model still predicting with, let's say, like 50% accuracy, which it was predicting like a week ago. Maybe right now it's predicting with like 1% accuracy, and we wouldn't know. Maybe somebody oh, let's make all the categories in alphabetical order, and make this change, push that into production. Nothing else broke, but our model might be broken and we wouldn't know about it. So a lot of these cases which are not covered in any book, in any tutorial, which you just have to plainly figure out on your own how to do that. So integration part is actually quite difficult and at the same time quite exciting because you get to build something completely new and make new stuff which wasn't made before.
Do you have any experience with the project in analyzing the consumer behavior? For example, analysis of mobile subscribers' activity and then predicting if they are looking into changing, if they were looking to lose loyalty and changing to the other mobile service provider, maybe then triggering some actionable things, some activity to boost its activity to prevent loyalty to prevent from leaving the service provider.
All right,
Something
that's
like this, or loyalty programs that
I have like a short answer for you. So I personally don't have experience in any of these fields, but I know I can recommend you a company which has experience in all of these fields. So luckily in Lithuania too. So I can just tell you who they are, and hopefully you can go and talk to them, and they deal with these problems which you are mentioning exactly. Mobile subscribers and like customer loyalty. Let's talk after in the networking part. Right, so if you have any more questions, I invite you to stay in the network don't leave right now, stay, do networking, do this after presentation discussion, and thank you all for coming. I'm so happy that you were part of this first presentation, first meetup of our second season. And I hope to see you all again in our meetups or workshops. Thank you all for coming, and goodbye.